an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering Doctor Who, Season 4, Episode 7, The Doctor's Daughter. In this episode, I saw the title, and I was like, oh shit. And then, I was so bored. How are you going to have an episode titled The Doctor's Daughter that's like one of the most boring episodes of this show so far? How does... What? Welcome to Unspoiled. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Natasha.
I'm Jamie.
Girl.
Okay, it's not the most exciting episode, but I never thought of it as boring.
I literally had to stop and rewind like 4 times because I spaced out completely and missed what was happening. And out of those 4 times that I rewound, 3 of them I rewound and realized that I had not, in fact, missed anything and did not need to rewind. This episode is a whole lot of nothing to me. And I think it's also weird that they decided to have another clone story right after a clone story.
It's not really a clone story.
I mean, it's a we're going to like generate people out of a machine kind of thing. I just like it's similar enough that I was just like, what? Like it just doesn't mix it up very much. And yo, am I tired of the like? We need to like run down these very industrial looking hallways to get to a place that somebody else is trying to get to before us, and there's pipes and a button or whatever.
I think they are limited in where they can film and what they could afford to build set-wise.
Okay.
Would be my guess.
It's a shame that they don't, like, for example, what's the one with the angels, the weeping angels?
Blink?
I mean, we've got an abandoned house and a parking garage for most of that. And it's a very compelling story. Yeah. And I just feel like it's not so much that you need to keep doing space travel stuff. It's just that you need to like mix it up a little bit, you know? And maybe it's like that thing where in the 60s they thought that the future was going to be all like tunics and eating from pellets and everything was like shiny and white and streamlined. So maybe they just assume that in the future, all space dwellings are going to be industrial, warehousey kind of structures. Maybe.
Because you're not wrong. They're having a lot of them. And then there's a lot of like spacecraft that they end up on that have the same sort of feel. Mm-hmm.
And, like, look, I get they have to reuse sets. Like, I understand how that shit works. But I feel like it's really getting to a point. And this episode being called The Doctor's Daughter, I was, like, really interested in what the fuck that looked like. Because it has been weird to watch the Doctor be, like, lusted after by 2 of his companions, and there's no confirmation that he's ever had sex. So I was very like, oh shit, did he bone down? And then when I saw the girl, I have to be honest, I had no idea it was supposed to be that she was a result of the processing of his hand. Mm-hmm. I did not put that together. I did not realize until like 10, 15 minutes later that she like was supposed to be generated from what was in his hand. Even when he said it, I didn't realize it. Like, I didn't put it together. I thought that she was the surprise daughter of that chick from the girl in the fireplace or the man in the fireplace or whatever it was. And that she had traveled somehow in time because she looks so much like that lady.
Well, that's funny. Apparently there were rumors or theories, not really rumors, theories going around before this episode aired that she was somehow his and Rose's daughter.
Oh, shit.
I think because they probably saw the preview. She's blonde, and there's been flashes of Rose in this season.
Yeah. So
I think people were like trying to make sense of it before the episode aired. It's also funny that you think that she kind of looks like Sophia Myles, since he dated Sophia Myles and he married her.
Oh, shit.
That's his wife.
How weird.
Yeah. Her name was Georgia Moffat. Now Georgia Tennant. She is actually the daughter of one of the past doctors.
This is so incestuous.
So she's actually a doctor's daughter. I actually have something funny. How did they write it? It was notable for its interesting casting of Georgia Moffat, the real-life daughter of Peter Davidson, who actually is David Tennant's favorite doctor. In giving the part of Jenny to Georgia Moffat, the production team had cast the daughter of an actor who had played the Doctor to play an on-screen daughter of the character. In addition, this episode marks the first meeting between David Tennant and Moffat. A year later, they started dating and married on December 30th, 2011, 9 months after Moffat gave birth to their daughter, Olive. In retrospect, not only is Moffat the Doctor's daughter twice, but she is also, in a way, the Doctor's wife as well as the mother of the Doctor's daughter.
That's so creepy. Wow. Well, she is super pretty.
So pretty.
So, good job there, David.
Yeah. They have like 4 kids now.
Yeah, good. Pass on those genes.
She's also really funny and interesting on Twitter.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah, she seems like super cool.
Well, I just wish so much that I gave a shit about her in this. Because I just don't. And when she comes back to life, I was honestly like, ugh. I just really was relieved, honestly, when it seems like, the way that Martha is talking about it, she seems pretty certain that she's not going to have the regenerative powers that the Doctor has. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what? Good, because I don't want to deal with this. And then she comes back and sails off into the sunset. And I'm worried now that we're going to encounter this again, because the whole setup of him not accepting her as his daughter or as her own person, it wasn't enough for me. It just didn't feel, I appreciated the philosophical debate about how much of her own person she was, but worrying about him accepting her as his daughter specifically. The Doctor is so unemotional so much of the time that I don't really buy it when it happens sometimes, and when it's set up in a really short period as well. I tend to buy it a little bit more when there's several episodes that go by and it seems like he finally has decided to cope with something that he's clearly been avoiding. This was something that it gets so dropped into my lap so abruptly that his struggle with it didn't matter to me at all, because whether or not he accepts her as his daughter felt like it had no bearing on everything else that was happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I like this episode. I like her. I like the character of Jenny. And I like... It might have a lot to do with Donna. I just really like Donna. And how Donna reacts to things and, figures out how to react to them. Mm-hmm. She's just always right.
It's true, though.
And she's just so empathetic, like immediately empathetic. And I don't know. So I think that just enhances everything. And then I really liked the stuff with Martha. I don't love Martha getting kidnapped all the time. This is a recurring thing where Martha gets kidnapped a lot. But I really like these Hath creatures, these weird fishmen, and that the part towards the middle where the Hath like saves her and then sinks into the weird quicksand. Her acting is so good in that scene that it made me cry a little bit today.
Aw.
Because she's just so, I believe it, you know? It was the most emotion we've really seen out of Martha probably ever.
Yeah, that's true. And, you know, I did notice her acting in that moment, mostly because I had very little reaction. So then when the camera goes to her and she's having a real meltdown over it, I was like, oh, okay, Martha's real upset.
Yeah.
Damn.
I will say that the first time I saw this episode, the first time I watched this season, it didn't really register one way or the other with me. It wasn't until later viewings when I rewatched that I have liked it more. So I do understand where you're coming from and why you would feel the way you do, because it didn't make much of an impression on me at all. And then when I watched a second time, I was like, oh, right, this episode. And then I think I paid attention more, or I just, maybe it's because I liked Donna a lot more on my second go-round than on my first, that it just affected me more. I enjoyed it.
I mean, Donna is definitely the best part of this episode consistently. Because, yeah, she has the empathy and she's asking the right questions and she provides most of, like, the comedic relief as well. Yeah, so it just, I don't know. It just felt so, like, and then it turns out that it's just, like, this, like, the thing that they've been fighting over, it's, like, this manufactured war.
Yeah.
That I don't feel like there was really a sufficient explanation given as to why they're all embroiled in this and thinking that it's been going on for so long. Like, it felt like this should be the objective of somebody, to try and create a war that's ongoing, but it seemed to almost be accidental. It
was, yeah. The way it's described is that these two species landed on this planet to habitate it, and there was a captain, and he died, and that caused a power vacuum where the sides became two factions instead of one group. And so there was the humans and the Hath, and they started fighting over who was going to actually be in control. Let's just assume it was the humans who started that shit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's easy to say.
And then they've got these machines that can replicate them or make new soldiers, make new people, probably because there was a relatively small group of them landing on this planet that was supposed to get terraformed. And then this way we can procreate quickly.
Right.
But the war started out so fast that they started dying off too fast, and it somehow, because when they're replicated, they get information from the DNA that's taken to make them. All they know is we were fighting, they're our enemy, and this war has been going on and on.
The Doctor doesn't have that information in him.
No, he doesn't.
So how does she have that reaction when she comes out of the thing?
I don't have an answer for that. I don't know. Because it's not like they mixed his DNA with someone else's DNA, and so she's got soldier information. Unless the soldier information is in the programming of making the person.
Which, if that wasn't the objective, why would it be in the programming? If the objective was just to make more people to populate this planet, that doesn't...
Sure.
You know, like... Because I kept waiting for there to be a big reveal that somebody was profiting off of this war somehow. And then it's just kind of treated like, oh, well, this just went awry. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, this just doesn't work out. And this object is not hard to find. like, in the end. It's not that, but, you know, the whole thing is that they think that this war has been going on for forever, when in fact it's only been 2 weeks. So I don't know how long they have really been looking and how hard they have really tried.
They also didn't, like, the map wasn't complete. He figured out how to expand the map. They didn't have that information, so they were looking at incomplete maps, so they couldn't find the source because the maps that they had didn't show these other tunnels. Right.
It's just like, you know, just like go out and look, though. Don't just stare at a map. Maybe just send people to search physically.
Well, I guess if you're replicating a bunch of dumb soldiers, then all your replicants are going to be dumb too.
Well, shit.
I don't know. It's one of those things where it's in broad strokes not a terrible idea for an episode, but when you have to condense it down in time and make it simple enough that and bloodless enough, essentially, that children aren't going to be freaked out, it sort of diminishes what kind of story it could be. Because if it were, say, a 2-hour movie where they had the time and the space to really flesh out a lot of these ideas, it could be a really good story. But
I'm not agreeing with you on that.
No? Okay.
Sorry. This one just failed so much to capture my attention that I feel like you'd have to change so much that it would be a totally different story in the end. I don't even understand the ending. Like, it just ends with this dude trying to shoot the doctor because I guess he is so determined that, like, he needs to be at war that he... Like, I don't really even understand his motivation for trying to shoot at him. And then the doctor is just like, you guys are going to have to learn to get along and make the foundations of this, that people won't shoot each other. And then he leaves with a planet loaded with artillery behind him. And just being like, yeah, just don't do this anymore. And also, you know how you've been literally programmed to, like, hate this other species? Just get over that part.
Yeah.
Jamie.
It's very simple, Natasha. Just do what the doctor says. Don't question it.
It's so colonialist. The whole problem seems like it started because of the colonialist mindset of the human beings, and then the doctor just does it extra. And that's supposed to be the solution.
The doctor is all about because I said so.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, he literally says, I would never model your, like, people on somebody who would never. He's like, I'm so great, and I am such a model human, or human-ish, that you should definitely raise everybody in the future to be as much like me as you can. Which is just bonkers.
I was going to try to compare him to Bill and Ted's, and I couldn't form it, so...
I didn't actually see that movie, but Owen really wants me to.
See, I don't know if, at this point, if it would resonate in any way with you, or if you would just be like, this is so fucking stupid. Are you kidding me? But it's really stupid and fun. I love Bill and Ted's. It's possibly the cutest that Keanu Reeves has ever looked. So it's worth watching for that, because he's so dumb and so cute. But I can't say it's a good movie. I have, like, a lot of nostalgia wrapped around it, so I love it. But it's pretty stupid. But it's also really fun.
Owen was trying to find it at, like, a bunch of secondhand DVD places, and he has been unable to find it, which to me is a good sign if there's not, like, people clamoring to get rid of it. Right. It's not like, you know, trying to find the Twilight movies is easy. You can get those no problem, one try. But yeah, so I still have not seen it because I think the rental was like $10 on Amazon, and he was just like, I'll just buy it for that. Screw that.
It's $2.99 to rent on Amazon Prime.
It's how much?
$2.99.
Oh, is it only $2.99? All right. Well, then we should just do it. I don't know why. He was just really fixated on buying it. He gets that way with DVDs, so he like wants to own things. For me, I'll own it digitally. I prefer that. Then I can watch it like in a million different places.
Right.
I don't need a DVD player, but yeah.
Oh God, he's such an old man.
Well, he likes the extras.
Same.
Which you don't tend to get a lot of the time with the digital ones. So that's a big thing, is being able to like listen to the director commentary or like, you know.
That is why I still buy Blu-rays and DVDs sometimes. Specifically for the extras. Yeah,
like, and if it's something that I really love, don't get me wrong, like, I am going to buy Hustlers when it comes out on DVD. You fucking better believe it. I am going to watch the shit out of that and listen to every commentary. But it's not something that I would have expected he would be particularly focused on with, like, Bill and Ted. But, you know, I don't know anything about that movie. So, all I know, and I only found it out, like, a few weeks ago, is that there's time travel, which I did not know. And,
yep.
There's that.
I was just trying to see if I could rent it for you, but I can't. I was going to rent it for you and send it to you.
Aw, thanks, lady, for the thought, though. So, okay, this episode. Guys, I just love when I just say a thing that I'm, like, mad about, and there's just this long silence, and Jamie just goes, yep. Like, she just gave up. She's like, well, I could argue with you, but, like, why?
Sometimes they just don't have an argument because you're not wrong. And it's not even that I disagree, but for whatever reason, I don't dislike this episode. So you're not wrong, but I'm not going to be able to necessarily convince you because, like I said, I thought it was boring the first time I watched it, too. I thought it was utterly forgettable because I actually forgot about it.
All right. Well, with that, let's start off. The other thing is, okay, Martha is here, and I do not feel like there is a good reason why the TARDIS insisted that she come.
I don't know that the TARDIS insisted that she had to be there. I don't think it was I know that that's what you were thinking, is that it must have something to do with Martha needing to be someplace. I think that the TARDIS needed to get somewhere, and it didn't care that Martha was also on board and was planning on leaving. It was time to go.
Oh. Okay.
Because the
doctor
interpreted
that it slams, like, in her face as she is trying to leave. So I just assumed it was, like, stopping her specifically.
She says something towards the doctor says something towards the end about it being a paradox because the TARDIS brought them there because of Jenny's creation, but because they'd gotten there early, they were the reason that Jenny was created. So it's a paradox.
Oh. God, I can't keep that stuff in my brain. I already lost it. They got there early.
The TARDIS brought them there because of Jenny's creation, but because they got there early, they were the reason Jenny was created at all.
Ah, got you. Yes, okay.
So it's an endless paradox.
Well, I got it for a second. And it's still there, so hopefully it'll stick. Okay, so yeah, he sticks his hand, or he gets his hand stuck in this thing for processing. I assume that they don't process Martha and Donna because they get interrupted?
It seems to be like that way. On the site where I get a lot of my trivia and the notes and stuff, they put it as like a production mistake that they are told that Martha and Donna, that all three of them are going to be processed, but then they process the doctor, create Jenny, and then Klein, aka Gendry, goes on to like start making a bomb or something. So it's like he forgot.
Yeah.
But he kind of forgot that Martha and Donna were there.
God, you guys. It's a little Song of Ice and Fire reference for those who don't know. Yeah. Jenny, she's so stupid pretty. It's really annoying. Like, I'm looking at her face right now. You know who she reminds me of is Kimber in this? You know Kimber? Kimber is Barbie's little sister.
Isn't that Skipper?
Is it? Who's Kimber?
Yeah. I don't know. Isn't Kimber from Gem? No, that's Jerica.
Oh my God, now I gotta type in Kimber and just see what Google does. Let's see. Kimber America Pistols and Rifles. Nope. Are Kimber's good guns? Well, I don't know. Let's see. Kimber Doll. Can I do that? Kimber Doll USA, America's most loved sex doll. Oh, dear.
Oh, my God. This is really going in places.
I really just didn't mean that. Gem. Okay, Barbie Rock and Royal Zia doll review versus Gem Kimber doll by Hasbro. All right, Kimber doll Gem. Let me try that. Here it is. Oh, yeah, no, she does not look anything like her. So I have it all mixed up. Who's Skipper doll? I'm going to see if that... She doesn't really look like a Skipper doll either. Skipper's got dark hair. That's surprising.
Skipper has... She has blonde hair.
All of these pictures, she's got brown hair. Yeah. How weird. I don't know. Maybe they changed her look after a while.
I swear she was... You're right, but I swear she was blonde when I was a kid.
I thought so, too. But maybe they changed it up.
Oh, these are vintage clothes. Ew. Ew. That site was scary.
I was a big fan of, I guess, Skipper rather than Bart. I didn't really like dolls mostly when I was a little girl because I found them like really like limiting. Mm-hmm. But I thought that she was prettier than Barbie and liked her look better.
I'm just saying you a site because in the 60s and 70s she was definitely blonde.
Okay. I don't know why I think she's blonde because I didn't see her in the 60s and 70s.
Wait,
it was in the 80s.
I haven't gotten... Oh my God, these ones from the 70 and 71 are weird.
She definitely looks like these though, does she not?
Yeah, you should scroll down to the German, in parentheses, European Skipper. She really looks like that girl.
Holy crap, this is crazy. Like, she really does. I'm trying to get... Oh, Korean Skipper has, like, the weirdest forehead. What are you doing? Give her some bangs. God. Yeah. Did you see it?
Yes. She's got a Tyra Banks forehead.
Oof. So, anyway, she's just distractingly pretty when she comes out of this thing. And maybe that's why I missed that she was, like, created from the thing. Because I was just too busy being like, holy God. Because she's got, like, a perfectly symmetrical face. Her eyes are humongous. She's, like, you know, comes out of this generator, not only fully clothed, but with perfect wing eyeliner as well. Mm-hmm. And she just kind of looks like an anime girl, honestly.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
Stupid pretty. And this is when he says she's my daughter, and both of them are like, what? And then Jenny looks at him and says, hi, Dad. And this was part of the confusion for me, was that she calls him Dad like she knows who he is in a way that I wouldn't expect if she were just born out of a machine. Mm-hmm. So I interpreted this as her having been born and learning about who her father was from somebody her whole life, but never actually having met him. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. And I'm sure that a part of it was for the factor of the audience.
Oh,
what?
Yeah.
In the past, the Doctor did have children. In one of his companions at some iteration was his granddaughter.
Oh, snap. Weird.
So he talks about in this episode that he was a father once and he lost all of them, and that pain is just something he doesn't want to have to experience again. Mm-hmm. And I think that hits home a little harder when you do know that, back in, it might have even been the first Doctor, because he was one of the older actors that played the Doctor, that he traveled with his granddaughter. You know?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah, she's out here with her gun, like, all ready to, like, suit up and get into battle immediately. And Gendry is looking at her like, damn. And I'm like, yeah, Gendry, look, you turn out better later, but you really need to work on something right now. You need to get some sort of skincare regimen going. I don't know what's going on with the hair, but maybe, like, wash it.
Did you ever watch Skins?
No.
Okay. He's really young. He definitely had a nice glow up by the time he got to Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Because when he showed up on Game of Thrones, I was like, oh my god, it's the guy from Skins. And also, holy shit, it's the guy from Skins.
Right.
Because he didn't look like that on that show. But he was like an actual teenager when he was on that show. So he was awkward, his skin was bad, you know, he was sort of doofy looking, and never would have expected him to be hot.
Yeah, he's not really my type, so I was never, like, a massive fan of his on Game of Thrones, but that scene where
I know the scene.
Melisandre is pulling his clothes off in order to do something to him.
Oh, that's not even what I was talking about.
I was definitely cackling because when I recorded about that episode with Brendan, you know that V shape that dudes get?
Yep.
Brendan said, so did you enjoy seeing Gendry's dick neck? And I fucking went off. I could not stop laughing. So that's how I see that V all the time now, because a lot of women really like that V. It doesn't do a whole lot for me, but I can't not laugh when I see it now, because I immediately just hear dick neck in my head. You know what I'm talking about.
You said it and I remembered the episode.
Yep.
I've never heard that phrase before or since. It's pretty great. Just made me cry a little. I was thinking about the scene where he's like, when they're still, yes, when they're still with the Night's Watch guys, and Arya is appreciating him walking around with his shirt off. Yeah, that's nice. His face is fine. All of that was very pleasing. He also said a lot of that was makeup. I listened to him in an interview, and he was like, yeah, I worked out, I did, but that six-pack was painted on, and I asked them to paint it on because I knew I was going to be ogled by my friend, and I needed it to be a little bit better than it actually was.
Oh, that's funny. He's like, look, we really need to give her something to ogle. Like, we all know I'm not trying to play. He's like, some people can get that kind of six-pack. I can't. He's like, I worked out a lot and was not able to achieve it, so it was painted on. Yeah, that kind of six-pack, you have to not only work out a lot, but you have to, like, fast, essentially, in order for those muscles to show. And it's just not super healthy. Like, I mean, did you hear about what went on with the boys at Winterfell when they were about to get their haircuts before the king shows up in the very first season?
No.
Between Rob and John and Theon, they all wanted to each look the most ripped in the scene where they're about to get haircuts, and they're all hanging out without any shirts on. And they all worked out, like, obsessively leading up to it, and then didn't eat, like, the whole day before. And they read somewhere that, like, if you drank wine, it would help dehydrate you as well. So they were, like, drunk and starving during that scene because they all just wanted to look better than the other for that one moment. And, not great. So everybody who sees dudes like that on screen and they're just like, why can't I look like that? They don't look like that. That is not how they look normally either. They are hurting themselves in order to achieve that. So just be aware.
That makes me wonder what Kit Harington put himself through to get that Pompeii body that he had.
Pompeii body. I got real confused and thought you were saying pompadour. I was like, when does he have a pompadour? I mean, he
thought
does
it
have
cute.
that perfect, what is it called? That golden circle or whatever booty?
He does, the Fibonacci circle, the Fibonacci
Yeah.
spiral, yeah. He has that. He was
Is
so...
that a butt double?
No, I'm pretty
Okay.
sure that was his. He was very embarrassed by it because it was shown to him on a talk show.
Oh, bless him.
But yeah, if you remember when he did that Pompeii movie, he was like one giant muscle. Like every time I saw the movie poster, I was like, how though? It was really unreal. So I wonder how much of that was actually him.
I'm
and
sure
not.
the movie poster was like probably digitally enhanced as well.
Yeah, I did not see the movie, full disclosure. That movie looked terrible.
Yeah, that one I
Kit
didn't even remember until you
Harington.
said that.
Pompeii. Body. If you Google it, it's like the second thing that comes up.
I love that our show for Doctor Who has turned into like 30% us Googling completely unrelated shit. I'm just Googling Kimber sex doll during the fucking, like...
I just sent you Kit Harington.
Oh, Jesus.
I
yeah.
know.
Yeah, that's no good. He needs to stop. I'm getting out of here.
It's going to be another Rolo situation up in here.
There's something about those kinds of abs that make me really uncomfortable. It's
I
like,
wouldn't want to date somebody who had a body like that. It would make me feel very inferior every second of the day.
well, I don't even mean like in the idea of like having a relationship. Just looking at them makes me feel uncomfortable. Like there's something about his abs that looks like an ashtray. They're so like perfectly edged and like solid looking that I'm just
Yeah.
like, ugh, guy.
I'm going to stop looking at it.
He got extruded from a mold.
It kind of does look like he's just sculpted.
Yeah.
Like literally sculpted.
All right. So Martha gets kidnapped. Mm-hmm. We can pretty much sum up her adventures with she was nice to one of these fish aliens, so they started to trust her, and then one of them died for her.
Yes. Apparently, this is like one of the only episodes. It's definitely like, I think the first episode where we don't get like subtitles or whatever. We don't know what they're saying.
Yeah, but
we don't
she
have it
seems to
translated.
understand him.
Yeah, so the TARDIS is still translating for her, so she understands them, but we don't understand them.
Is there a reason for that choice?
No, not that I found. They pointed it out, but they didn't say why it was done that way.
Huh. Because, yeah, I noticed that when they were outside and she was like, oh, language, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, why are they doing it this way? I couldn't really understand that.
I don't know what it is about these creatures that I find so endearing. They're very weird, but
They're very Ood-like to me.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess because they weren't actually evil creatures.
No, not
Kind
at
of
all.
helps that I'm, but even like looking at them, like I'm intrigued by this little fish tank at the front of them and their big fish heads and their gills that move. It's good. It's good makeup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they like reused Ood masks and did this. Because the things in the front feel like a similar placement to the tentacles.
Yeah.
Just take the tentacles off, pop those on, add another like layer above the head, like just basically pop a second head on there and then
It doesn't
squash
really
it down.
work that way. I
But-
don't know if you ever watched Face Off, but having watched people create stuff out of clay and making masks and stuff, there's really no way you could reuse in that way.
Is there not?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's wasteful. I'm
There's
just thinking about
probably-
like costuming. You totally can, like I'm
Yeah,
surprised
because
that
you could
that's-
tear apart a costume and like repurpose it, but the way that this kind of stuff is molded, and then because they make a mold out of clay and then they pour this stuff in it, and it has to sit. I think it's usually overnight, and then it dries, and then it makes a mask. You should watch. I don't know if there's old episodes, but if you ever watch Face Off, which was a like makeup artist competition show on Sci-Fi
Right.
Channel. It's really interesting to see how they create this kind of thing.
Huh. All right.
But they can't, it's made out of like a foam. So once they take it off, you're either going to put it back on and reuse it, or it can't be repurposed.
Interesting. Yeah, because I would have just thought that you could, make some additional like pieces and just like adhere them somehow. But, well, regardless, that's what's going on with Martha. Mm-hmm. It's fine. And then we go to the meeting with Cobb, who is the man in charge, mm-hmm. and very angry.
Yep.
And just, kind of a grizzled, seen it all. And I just really want to know how much he's really gone through personally, if this has only been 2 weeks.
Probably not much.
So, he has not earned this.
No, and I think it's only been a week, to be honest.
Has it only been a week? Oh, shit, I thought it was like 2 weeks. Okay. Yeah, because he's really acting like he's seen some shit. But then it turns out, like, he probably hasn't seen any shit almost at all.
No, he's only seen a couple of days of this war. And it's some people
Which
you
he
knew
takes
that died.
very seriously.
I'm looking the guy up because I kept feeling like, am I supposed to know this guy?
This actor, you mean?
Yeah.
He's not ringing any bells for me. He was in Excalibur, The Lion in Winter, Caravaggio, and The Emperor's New Clothes. None of those is a thing that I have seen. I saw Excalibur when he was on a show called Waking the Dead 4. How is a show? Maybe it's a movie. It's from the BBC, so I assumed it was a show. But yeah, he's
no, I have not seen any of this stuff. So he just had one of those faces where I'm like, he's probably famous enough in Britain. He's done a lot of British TV, so I'm sure Brits recognized him.
Right. Yeah. So he is like immediately not here for the doctor's shit. Does not take kindly to the idea of trying to like make peace. He wants this entire race of aliens eradicated. And the doctor, as we know, is not a huge fan of genocide or any sort of aggression that he himself did not personally sanction. And just the attitude that he has throughout this is of somebody with no interest in hearing what anyone has to say unless it lines up with the thing that he already believes and intends to do anyway. That's just how he rolls. And he winds up locking them up finally. They go, they take a tour for a minute. And this is sort of when there's like some confrontation. I don't even remember how this goes down. I'm like trying to fast forward so that I get to the spot. We're at war with the Hoth, a colony where human and Hoth work and live together. And the doctor says, what happened? The dream died, broken along with Hoth promises. They wanted it all for themselves. But those early pioneers, they fought back. They used the machines to produce soldiers instead of colonists and began this battle for survival. And Donna says there's nothing but earth outside. Why is that? Why build everything underground? And he says the surface is too dangerous. And she says, well, then why build windows in the first place? And then she points out the numbers, and he says the rites and symbols of our ancestors, the meanings lost in time. Oh, it's so amusing to know that this is like being sort of intoned in these, Yeah. And it's just nothing. None of this is true.
It's kind of interesting that they created some sort of like creation myth too. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like a goddess that created their universe, and they're looking for the source, and that once they find it, then they'll be able to, win this war. Like, if they've only been alive a day, let's say, because previous generations, which are just, versions of like previous clones that were made. Mm-hmm. How did this myth start?
This is what I don't feel makes sense. Like, there's this whole thing about how we're making these clones, and that's fine that they don't, like, necessarily need to be born in the same way, but they're not. Oh my God, if I get another fucking spam phone call while I'm recording, I will throw my phone out the window. I don't feel like there's anything to imply that they're implanted with, like, false memories. They are implanted with the idea of, like, being at war, apparently, for some reason. But not that there has been this, like, expansion of time.
But they speak as if it's been going on for centuries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand, like, and unless this winds up coming back and being, like, some, big bad's intentional thing, this just doesn't make any sense to me to put this in their minds and make it seem like this is if this whole thing had been intended to be, we want perpetual war for no reason because of this profit that we're getting because of XYZ. That would make more sense. But it all turns out to be accidental, and there's like a perfectly easy solution, which is just terraform this place. Look, we can all get along now. And that doesn't line up with why they all think what they think. They all come out of the machine with the, quote, inheritance of knowing that this war has been going on for ages. But why do they believe all the rest of it? And why did this work on somebody that isn't even part of this community with the doctor? I don't know. I love the idea that they think this has been going on forever and it hasn't. It's just like the explanation doesn't explain it at all. It's not an explanation. It's just kind of like oh yeah, none of that's real. And then you're supposed to, I guess, just kind of stop thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm starting, I keep finding that some of these things, some of these ideas, like unformed ideas that you end up having issue with are specifically the ones that come from Russell T. Davies. Which is, you can blame it all on him. These are his ideas. Like, the underground, I just saw it, a little piece of trivia, that the underground world and the gurgling masks and something else were just, those were his additions to the story.
Okay.
Trying to find it. Like, he's the showrunner, so obviously showrunners have input, but this isn't the first time that there are specific things that you're like, this doesn't really make sense, it's not fleshed out, it's not really well explained, that those are the things that were his ideas specifically.
Yeah, like, if he's just adding stuff, that's, like, to me, why, like, that's not really creating a world. That's just, oh, I had a dream about something cool. Make it.
Yeah. It's the underground war and the Hath's mode of communication via bubbling liquid were Russell T. Davies' ideas.
Which, like, not terrible ideas. That's fine.
Right, but then there's no real building it out.
No.
It just is. And now that might not be his fault either. That might be, we don't know what kind of input the BBC has on this kind of stuff. Like, it's a family show, it's on at a certain time of the day, it has to be very sanitized, it can't be too complicated, children watch this, blah, blah, blah. But I still feel like there's ways to achieve all of those things and still give answers that aren't supposed to just make us go, oh, that's so weird. Like, this has only been going on for 7 days. Like, Donna being preoccupied by these numbers and figuring out what they are is great because it shows how her brain just works differently than previous companions. She's paying attention to things that nobody ever notices.
Right.
Usually if anybody's going to notice that kind of stuff, it's a doctor.
Right.
But then for it to be, this has only been going on for 7 days, is one of those moments where they want the audience to be like, oh my God.
Right.
But then you have to explain the rest. Why?
What evidence do they have that it's been going on for as long as they think it has? Like, what makes them believe that?
I shouldn't have to try to fill in those gaps with just, the way I see it is this.
Right.
Because there isn't an explanation, so I'm headcanoning it.
Is that Russell T Davies' idea? Like that whole, because like what you said were his ideas, which is the communication through bubbling and the underground place. Those aren't the things I have a problem with.
I thought there was one more, but there wasn't. It was just those two things.
Yeah, that just like, I mean, I guess, you can do that. It's just, give me a reason for it. Or don't. Like, I don't really need to know about these aliens. I don't need to know why they communicate the way they do. It's fine.
I think they communicate the way they do because they're fish.
Right. Like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just don't really like when something is the whole point. And that's what keeps happening on this show is that they're like, oh, here's the big plot twist. And then they just don't even fucking honor their own twist with the correct information or consistent conversations about it. It's just, why bother then?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I think it's a product of a lot of things, some of what I've already said, and then the fact that this was only like a semi serialized kind of show. It still is pretty episode by episode. There's stuff that carries over, but just like with season 3 where they were trying to build towards this reveal of the master by dropping breadcrumbs along the way of you're not alone, you are not alone.
Right.
Oh, you're the last Time Lord. Like, that's the only thing they've done to make it a serialized story.
Right.
Is pepper it in with like, you gotta throw in a he's the last Time Lord reference in here somewhere just to keep that in people's minds. Whereas other shows, and we've grown really used to shows having a storyline that goes through every episode in some way or another.
But that's not my problem. It's within the one episode. This happens frequently.
Yeah,
it's
but
like
I think
different
it's because
people
they just
wrote 10 minutes of each episode.
It kind of feels that way. It kind of feels like every episode that's like this that you have a lot of quibbles with feel like they're written by committee.
Yeah.
That it's not one person's vision, where you can take the episode Blink, which Stephen Moffat wrote, and he had a complete story that he gave them.
Right.
This could be a complete story, but it's got too many moving parts and not enough reason for all of those parts.
Yeah, I feel like there was another one that it was a really specific, I was just like, but then why this? And both of us stopped and we could not think of anything, and it completely blew like a giant hole in what was supposed to be the reason everything was happening. Yeah. And I can't even remember what it was.
I don't remember which episode. I know that we've had this kind of conversation a few times. Yeah. So I can't remember exactly which episode we were talking about, but yeah, it's...
And there are so many shows out there that are meant for kids that don't have this sort of problem. Yeah. That don't just completely hand wave explanations of things or sort of expect you to fill in blanks yourself. So all I can think is that they're playing this weird telephone story game of handing off to each other, and nobody knows what the other is going to do, and nobody checks back to make sure it makes sense with whatever came before it. And
I am curious of what you'll feel about later episodes with a different showrunner.
Yeah.
Where the stories are told differently. I'm sure there's still going to be holes that can be poked in things, but I'm curious if is this a Doctor Who thing, or is this this particular showrunner's influence, or his lack of attention to detail, or his no, this is fine.
Right.
This is a great story. It's a complete story. They land on this planet. They've been at war for what they think is centuries. Mm-hmm. Doctor figures out that's not what it is. Saves the day. Oh, and his daughter. We create his daughter, but then she dies. And then he leaves, but then she comes back to life. Which I think was a late addition. She was originally supposed to die.
Oh, okay. And then they were like, oh, actually, we're going to keep her around.
I think it was actually Stephen Moffat who said she should come back to life at the end. I'm
shocked. I think it was hard, because of the, the red shirt thing. There's always somebody in a given episode who we get to like, and then of course they die.
Yeah.
That was also part of me being like, oh, they made the red shirt his daughter because they're trying to provoke an emotional reaction. And I am not interested in participating in this. So when she did die, I think the reason that I was just like, oh, thank God, be done with it, was just I knew that was coming. It wasn't even that I didn't like her character in particular. It was just, it felt so inevitable, and I knew exactly what they were trying to do, and I resented it already. So I just wanted them to get it the hell over with. And then when they decided to keep her alive after all, I was like, oh, all right, fine. But, that's just my reaction to emotional manipulation on TV. That tends to happen with me. It's part of why I get weird about the soundtrack with this show as well.
The soundtrack does try to make you feel certain things at certain times. And sometimes that's really effective. And other times I feel like it's really overblown. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't happen every episode. So I'm not... No. Are there different, composers for different episodes?
No. It's the same composer. His name is Murray Gold, I think.
Okay.
But there are certain themes. There's certain pieces of music that are there's a Rose theme. There's also the Doctor and Rose have a particular theme, and that kind of stuff comes up. And sometimes I find that to be manipulative because, if you're gonna throw in the Doomsday theme all of a sudden, which is just an amplified version of the Doctor and Rose's theme, then I know what you're doing. You're trying to make me cry. I don't appreciate it.
My thing is that occasionally there is a music sting that is so comically it sounds almost like a radio play from 1945.
And it very well may be based on that kind of thing, since this show, initially was from a much simpler form of television.
Yeah, that's true. If it were done in a way that felt like they knew what they were doing and that it was a bit tongue in cheek, then I think I could appreciate it. But it's done in total sincerity.
Yeah, no, this show does not joke about itself. This show takes itself very, very seriously.
Yeah, there's I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but something jumped out or there was a revelation, something, and the music literally went dun dun dun, and I was just oh my God, you don't need to do this.
I'll be honest, I most of the time don't even notice the music. And
I don't know how that is possible.
That's not specific to this. Obviously there are certain pieces of music in this that really have gotten me, but they're very clearly placed, and it really is just the Doomsday theme. I'm just gonna lay it out there. It's just
certain
because
pieces
of the Doctor
of music, and it's this one.
Yeah. But on a lot of most of the time, the score is not something that I tune into in any way. So when I do, I find it exceptional because it's drawn me away from paying attention to dialogue or the way an actor is performing and paying attention to the music.
Gotcha.
Like Penny Dreadful, I found the music on that show just incredible. And Game of Thrones is another one.
Yeah, definitely for Game of Thrones for sure.
Lord of the Rings was the first time I ever bought a score in my life.
So good.
But most of the time, I know it's there, but I'm not paying attention.
Gotcha. Yeah. I tend to be kind of aware of music, and it's kind of funny because I'm not somebody who, like, knows music at all.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I find that really funny, because you're, like, you're not a person that's like, oh my god, I've been to 1,500 concerts in my life, and I love
literally
these
been
bands
to 3
and these
concerts,
artists.
guys. I've been to 3 concerts, and all of those were 10 years ago or more. That's me. And it's not like I don't like music. It's just that I don't really, like, care so much about it. I guess it.
And I care a lot about music, but I guess it's just in different contexts. Like on TV, it just doesn't generally jump out at me.
I mean,
I also really like the music in Lost, but that was also played very specifically and deliberately, so I always noticed it.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to be, like, part of the reason that I loved, and for those of you who have not listened to Bitches and Money cover Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I guested on the episode The Body, because part of what made that episode so incredibly effective, in my opinion, is the almost complete lack of music throughout.
The absolute complete lack of music. There's not any music in that episode.
There isn't any? Okay,
None.
I thought there was, like, one at the very end, but okay. But yeah, that, like, I am a big fan of just letting things stand as they are and letting dialogue and character expression stand as they are. And the feeling of being manipulated by music is something that I can get very, like, cranky about. Mm-hmm. And it's not like I don't like music in movies ever. Like, you know, Lord of the Rings is one of the what do you call it? The Winona Ryder Little Women soundtrack. I have, like, a station based around that Thomas Newman score. So, like, some stuff I'm just, like, all about it. But
you don't want to be manipulated by music.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like that tends to be what it is used for a lot of the time.
Yes, it is. A lot. In a lot of things. And when it's not, but it's still noticeable, I think that's when I notice.
Yeah.
Is that I'm not being manipulated by it. I'm affected because it's adding to what I'm seeing.
Gotcha. Well, there it is, folks. I have... I don't like being manipulated by human beings or theories like music. So, okay, moving on with this story.
Well, we basically covered everything.
It's just, I feel like we pretty much have. Like, there's a big confrontation at the end where the terraforming is just like a gas in a globe.
Yep, and he just has to smash it. And
all
then
he has to do is just break it. What was it that they were, like, fighting over? One of them wanted the terraforming power and the other wanted it more?
I don't think they knew.
You don't think they knew what they... Well, they were fighting for, like, the planet, right?
They arrived there together, their captain died, and it caused a power vacuum, which then they were fighting over, I guess who was going to be, like, the dominant species on the planet. But it's like they kind of forgot that what they were doing was making the planet livable.
Huh.
I don't know. Also, like, the planet is livable, essentially. Like, their atmosphere is not something that humans can't live in. It just has a lot of radiation, which is probably why the terraforming needed to happen.
Be done. Yeah.
To like get rid of that radiation and make it more livable, but it's breathable on the surface.
Yeah, I'm trying to picture if there's a power vacuum, how suddenly like cloning soldiers with fake memories is the thing that happened just because of a power vacuum. Like there's just so much about this that I'm like, there has to be another story that explains this. There has to be a big bad that appears and it's like, psych, I orchestrated all of this because none of this happens in a vacuum, pun intended. There's just no way. There's no way that they, like him talking about how like, oh yeah, and this was intentionally or originally intended to be how we create enough people to like populate the planet, but then such and such happened and they turned it into creating soldiers. Well, why? Like how in 2 weeks did they just like, a week, however long it's been, and there's nobody left who remembers what actually happened? There's nobody still alive from the original, like...
I guess not.
Like, what the fuck happened then? Like, legit. How in the fuck did everybody die from the original crew? What could possibly have happened to cause that? And how was there just enough of, like, the copies to continue with propagating, but none of them remembered what their friends who had only just died like a day ago knew?
I don't know. I was watching it with subtitles, and there's like when they first are brought into that theater before the doctor like starts making cracks about like, oh, maybe they're doing Miss Saigon.
I forgot about that.
There's like an announcement going on talking about generation this all dead, generation this 90 dead, generation this 16 dead. So I guess the entire first wave of people could have been completely wiped out, and their clones just never had the full scope of the information.
Okay. Man, that's crazy. I really want more of this story. That's what I want.
Saying. If it's fleshed out over a 2-hour movie and you take out the stuff that doesn't matter, but the bones of the story there's something there. It's just not well thought out.
Yeah. Well.
Because imagine what a mindfuck it would be if you're one of these soldiers. You know you were created and you have all of this knowledge about we are fighting for this thing. This is what you think is why. And then, as if the protagonist of the story is somebody who's like, finds out it's only been 7 days.
Right.
And then it's like, how in the world has it only been 7 days?
Right.
And then goes about trying to figure that out. That's a good story.
Yeah, that's a pretty good story. That's so crazy. And also, like, they know that they're clones, or whatever you want to call them, but they don't hear the words generations and wonder about that, I guess. Are there any naturally grown humans?
I don't think so.
There's no time.
And there's no children. It's all adults.
Right. Huh. Creepy. Anyway, so that's the episode.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Why
does he try to shoot the doctor?
I don't know. He's angry. He's so mad. You messed up my plans.
He's so mad. He's really invested in this. But we're to believe that, like, he's the only one. And the rest of the human beings are totally willing to listen to the doctor. Right?
Yeah.
But he does leave this guy alive with his dangerous ideas.
Well,
to start a podcast or website. So
to write the Joker.
Yeah.
I did read that he was originally supposed to get executed. He was supposed to be taken off to be executed, but then they changed it to the doctor like maybe going to shoot him and then deciding not to.
And being like, name your sons after me. It's an entire planet of doctors.
And then there's some weird shit in this IMDb trivia that I just... Somebody in the Whovian group said something to me about I should look at the trivia for the next episode. I'm assuming they meant this one. It was before you had posted the last episode, so it could have meant that one, but...
Okay.
It says, the speech the Doctor gives to the Hath and the humans when Jenny dies was strongly influenced by Gladiator, namely the speech that Lucilla gives to the Roman spectators and the Roman centurions and the gladiators when General Maximus dies. I don't remember that movie very well because I did not like it, but that I don't see any bit of this speech as being as dramatic as anything that happened in that movie.
Yeah, I'm really baffled by that one.
And then now regular people can add this trivia, so who knows, take it with a grain of salt. It's kind of like Wikipedia in that way.
Right.
The final scene in which Jenny is revived and decides to leave Messaline and follow in the footsteps of the Doctor and travel and explore the universe hinted at the possibility of a spin-off series. Oh, this is not what I wanted. It was the other one. It's about fucking Logan. Apparently, according to this... Oh, here it is. The Marvel comic book movie Logan has been considered by a few to be a loose remake of Doctor Who, The Doctor's Daughter. In that film, Logan/Wolverine learns he has a daughter called Laura and that she is a clone of himself. That's a stretch, guys.
What?
That is a no. Read
That's
some
nonsense.
comics. I'm pretty sure that X-23 was actually created from Wolverine's DNA. That's in the comics. So calm down, IMDb users.
I hate this kind of thing. Who the fuck just like vomited that out? Get out of here.
I know.
Well, all right. I guess.
We do have a few reviews.
Hey, thanks, guys. They're like, hey, Natasha, could you stop asking questions and just let the show wash over you? Enjoy yourself.
The first one is, it's about time, 5 stars, by Coram Knight from Australia. A fun podcast for the ages. As I write this review, Jamie and Natasha are currently covering the season with Donna Noble, which I watched as a teenager and really enjoyed. If you're looking for something to listen to as you watch older seasons of modern Doctor Who, this show will make for an excellent companion.
Aw, we're a companion. I see what you did there.
Also, fun podcast for the ages, and it's about time. Nice puns everywhere.
It's about time.
The next
Get
one
out of
is
here.
Very Wibbly Wobbly, 5 stars by Shelby KG0825 from the US. I am falling in love with Doctor Who all over again. While the tangents can get a little long, you're going to hate this episode, my friend. The analyzing of characters and plot lines in general are great. I am always impatiently waiting for the next one. So thank you very much, Shelby.
Yay!
The next one is only 1 star.
Oh, here we go. I've been waiting. Lord.
It's actually not a bad review, but interesting take on a great show, 1 star by Rad1183 from the US. I enjoy listening to the points of view of both these young ladies. Other than the not need swearing, they do a great job. Great way to take a walk through the fun show. So I'm not going to apologize for my language.
No, that's not in my nature.
I understand that it can be offensive to people, but I can't help it. And I think we didn't swear at all on this one, which is
That's
really
absolutely
weird.
not true. There's no way.
I feel like I haven't said any swears.
I don't think there's been one episode of this show since I started it that I haven't sworn in. That
This show or
can't be.
any of your shows.
Any of them.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a single unspoiled episode that I have not sworn in. Like, even when I did guest ones with the Overdue gents, who try to keep it, they try to do no swearing in their show at all, so that it's something that parents can put on with their kids in the car. Mm-hmm. Even that one, I was like, I'm going to try and not swear in this. And then I was like, lol, no. And I literally swore in the intro. and just completely shot that all to hell. So,
My God.
yeah. That's just, did you see that like argument that I got in with somebody in the comments on a YouTube post?
No.
Like, because I auto post episodes to YouTube and they're not organized at all. It's terrible. But, somebody commented and it was like a spoil me, I think, of something. And they were just like, you really sound much less intelligent because you swear all the time. And I was just like, bitch, fuck you. What the fuck are you out here trying to tell me how to talk for? Stop listening. Go away. Nobody fucking cares. Like, this idea that we associate how much somebody swears with their intelligence. So many people.
Pretty sure it has been actually proven. There have been studies that people who swear a lot are actually more intelligent.
And like, how are they
something
all
about
related in people's minds? People try and be like, well, it's because you can't think of a better word because your vocabulary is so small.
That's not it.
It's because
No.
this is the appropriate fucking word to use.
It's an emphasis.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I've never had anybody say that my vocabulary is small, although sometimes I'm tired when I record this, so it's not as voracious as it can be.
Get it?
But my swearing is really just because I like to.
Swearing's the best.
It's a part of my vocabulary. My first word, I'm not lying, my first word was shit. It's in my baby book. And I blame my mother because she probably said it a lot around me. And that's how I learned it.
My nickname as a little kid from my mom was, hey, shithead, come here.
That doesn't sound nice.
No, it was funny. I never felt bad about it. I always thought it was funny.
Well, as long as she wasn't saying it because she was being abusive, then it's fine.
No, not at all. Not at all. It was either, it was little monkey, shithead, or, what was there was some other weird one. It was like a portmanteau. It was like angel cheeks or something, but she put it together in a weird way. But yeah, so my mom swore around me a lot. I didn't start swearing until the very end of high school. And even then I felt weird about it. I wasn't swearing until I was out of college, pretty much. I started swearing late in life. And then I found it and I was like, what have I been missing? Why haven't I done this?
I started swearing as soon as I could.
I just, at this point in my life, I just can't really give a fuck if people are offended by language, considering what's happening in the world that is obscene.
Yeah. I mean, nothing against our listener. Seriously, nothing against you. I understand, people have their things that they like and don't like. It's fine. But there are much bigger things to be offended by.
Listen, I will take offense and say, listener, if you like the show, but our swearing's the only problem, 1 star feels inappropriate. It feels like you should dock 1 star.
But still give us 4.
Come on. But it's fine. It's fine.
Maybe they didn't mean to give us 1 star. They seem to enjoy the show.
Well, this is what I'm saying. That's why I'm so puzzled by it.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's fine.
I do have a bingo update, guys. This bingo game is a never-ending game, but Gendry is in this episode. So we finally got one. I don't think we've had any this season.
I can't believe how perfect George's face is. I can't stop looking at it. I have it paused on the moment when she dies. She's so pretty. Oh my God, her eyeliner is so perfect. So,
when I was at Dragon Con at the panel that David Tennant did, somebody asked him who he had the most chemistry with, who that he acted with, that he had the most chemistry with. And he gave it a bit of thought, and then he went, well, I mean, probably my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody kind of laughed, and he's like, I mean, obviously had chemistry with her, and I should definitely say that, but I mean, maybe I should have married Michael Sheen. Which got a very big laugh.
Oh my God, they are so good together in that. It's stupid. What a good show. Yeah, I'm always interested in what it's like to meet your spouse when you have to pretend. Like, for example, he met her and she's meant to be his daughter.
But watch it. Watch their chemistry.
I mean, like, but that's what I mean.
I know. She's supposed to be his daughter. He's also supposed to be, like, not interested in having any kind of familial feelings towards her because of his, like, baggage.
Right. Yeah.
And yet,
yeah,
every time they look at each other, it's like, well, clearly these two are into each other. And they can't even hide it. They can't even act around it. It's just there. He definitely has chemistry with her. I'll give him that. You're not wrong. You have very good chemistry with your wife. Because you're supposed to be playing her dad, and you look at her like you want to see her naked.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. The fact that this is what you're saying to me as I'm watching the moment where he's like clutching her supposedly dead to his chest, and then the camera swoops around to Martha and Donna watching him.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this is so uncomfortable. Oh, I hate it. I hate this context. And then, yeah, he does the like 2 hearts thing. She's got 2 hearts. Can't she like, and Martha is like, I don't think it works like that. Which I don't really know why she doesn't think it works like that. Like,
I know she's never seen anybody regenerate. She's only heard about regeneration. She's never actually seen it.
She's like you, but maybe not enough. And he says, no, too much. And I don't really know what that means.
I don't either. Stephen Moffat, in some book about Doctor Who, said that she did not regenerate, that the source brought her back to life. What? I would say, okay, fine. Except that she had all that glowy energy coming out of her mouth, like the Doctor did when he died on the moon and then came back to life.
Right.
So
is that glowy energy supposed to be the life energy?
Yeah, like
she didn't. That's not magic, though. That's fucking supposed to be like a science ball that he breaks.
Right. So this is one of those times where I'm just like, oh, God, shut up, Stephen Moffat. You don't even know what you're talking about. I think that she didn't regenerate, but she has Time Lord DNA. So she didn't die either.
Gotcha.
Not completely. Just like the Doctor didn't completely die on the moon when he... I can't even remember what he did. Took on a bunch of radiation.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I totally forgot myself. Man, Stephen Moffat and JK really need to like get together and just like go ham on a script where none of it makes sense, and they're all just like, no, that we think that it's this, and everybody's like, what?
Right. You can't after the fact give facts. Like, that's not how these things work. Don't add to your canon by being like, well, actually, what this means is that Hagrid is a big old gaybo. Or whatever. Like,
gaybo? Is that what you said?
Yes.
A big old gaybo? What's that, Jamie?
I just was watching Drag Race, and I think some things got stuck in my head.
A big old gaybo. All right. All right, so yeah, I guess that's it, right? Is that everything?
Yep.
Guys, don't forget to pledge on Patreon if you want me and Rashawn to cover Song of Ice and Fire. Also, I want you all to remember that there is definitely a hand still floating around on the TARDIS.
Yeah.
And I find that deeply upsetting, and I just wish so much that you would just incinerate that thing, please. I just don't like it constantly being like just in a scene. You know, it's just in the background. There's just a fucking hand bouncing around inside a little bubble box.
Captain Jack went through a lot of trouble to hold on to that thing for millennia.
Listen, Captain Jack is all well and good, but like, should we trust his judgment?
It would be rude. And I know that the Doctor is rude, but it would be really rude to get rid of this hand that Jack held on to through, like, the Dark Ages and shit.
Then, like, go put it in the freezer in the kitchen or something. Like, Go just get her out of the fucking, like, main area.
Open the fridge and see the hand?
It's like living with fucking Sherlock Holmes. I need to know where they sleep. It's bothering me that this still isn't, like, an established thing. Donna brought lots of luggage, and we don't see that luggage around.
The TARDIS has lots of different rooms.
Yeah, I want to see them. I want to see Donna's bedroom. Can you imagine? I mean, I bet she took like 3 bedrooms. Right? She's got her room that's like where her suitcases are. That's just piled fucking full. Then she's got her room that's a closet, and that's all of her clothes. And then she's got her room that she sleeps in and has like some keepsakes. She's got like an ood tentacle or something. Maybe.
No, she didn't kill any of them.
Well, no, but you know, she needs something like one of them gave it to her.
Just took off one of their tentacles?
Yeah, it's like biting your nails.
Gross. That's so horrible.
They gave her some nail clippings to remember them by.
Ew. Okay.
I'm like, get rid of that floating hand, but definitely Donna has some nail clippings. That's fine. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We love you. And we'll see you next week with a new episode. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.